What's up guys, Philip Collum, Pack Pythons, back in the snake pit, and today we're gonna do a Q&A. I've been trying to sort out how to put all these thoughts and all this different information together in a way that makes sense. And it seems like every time I post a video, I get a dozen really good questions in the comment section, and I've struggled so far to take that information and put it into the next video. I was trying to answer their questions in my notes and then try to put that together some kind of way that I could bring it to you guys. And today, for some reason, I don't know why I haven't thought of this before, but I decided hey, I could just write down their question and then read it and answer it in a video. So that's what we're gonna do today. I've got about 10 questions here that I'm gonna read through. Some of them are really, really good. It's gonna get into a lot of stuff that I haven't really covered yet. And then I'm gonna continue to do this. If there's anything that I bring up today that you haven't had answered or don't understand, feel free to comment down below and I will do my best to answer that. Before we get into any of that, first of all, I wanna thank everyone. It's so overwhelming, the amount of support I've received by sharing this information. I am not anyone special. We're actually probably gonna get into that a little bit here, but I'm not the only person struggling with this specifically. Nidovirus in a collection, I am not the only person, for sure. And I'm not the only person that's struggling with it and handling it the right way and doing all this extra steps. And maybe I'm going a little further and definitely going further by sharing, but there's certainly countless people that are out there struggling with the same thing and other viruses, and they're doing it in the dark, alone, no support. And there's reasons for that. And I hope that I can shine some light on that and help them to not feel so ashamed of their situation like it has been, commonplace. So again, we'll get into that. We just hit 5. If it looks like I'm reading from notes, I am reading from notes today. I don't typically read from notes. I'd like to just kind of come from the breast. But today, it's getting too dense of information, and it's gonna help me to project. I will not be reading this. It's literally just the 10 questions that I'm gonna be reading and answering to you. So it's not scripted or anything like that. But I wanted to remind myself that I just hit 500 subscribers. I'm super stoked. You guys have no idea how much your support means to me. If you haven't already subscribed, please stick around. This information is not something that's just for new people or big keepers. It's for people with one snake. It's for people who are about to have their first snake. It's for people who are about to grow their collection. This information is vital, and it's not prevalent in the industry. I did tons and tons of research to get started before I expanded my collection. And this specific conversation about viruses and the issues that can come from them was never in the months of study was never brought up, which is pathetic. We have to do something about that. I'm not the only person that's gonna do something about it. I hope that I start a movement that people are willing to get behind, even slowly. But 5 years from now, I hope that the landscape of the ball python community is completely changed. And that's not to say that we need to go tear down the mountains of giant breeders out there and try to go bash people for anything in particular. I just think from the bottom up, we need to start thinking about this differently and being more transparent about our experiences and being more supportive of each other like we all want to be. Again, kind of going on a tangent. We'll get into that here shortly, so stay tuned. Ideas for raising funds. I do not want your money. I will be testing all of these animals out of my own pocket, gladly. It will be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in testing. I will also be doing research and sending off a ton of samples in that research process to try to discern some things that have not been sorted out yet about nidovirus, specifically with ball pythons. And that is going to be expensive. Whether I raise $1 or not, I will be doing those things, and I will take you guys with me, and I will share absolutely everything that I can through that process. But any amount of money that I could raise in addition to what I'm willing to spend could push this beyond my own imagination. I have tons of people around me, professionals in the industry of viral testing and viral tracing and all kinds of other things that are willing to support me and provide valid information so that we do this the best way we possibly can. And I would hope that through that process we could really change the way this is handled. We could improve the accuracy of some of these tests so that you could more confidently say that your animal is negative. There's so many different areas that we plan on getting into, that I plan on getting into, and I'm gonna drag everyone I can with me. So if you're willing to support that, I've had a ton of people reach out to me and say, hey, how can we donate? Hey, where can I, they want to, I've had people tell me that if I lose my collection, that they're willing to give me hatchlings to help me start over again. You guys are amazing. I have been holding back tears the past 2 days from all of this overwhelming support. It's mind-blowing how much I've been encouraged. And I think that that's a sign of desperation. I really do. I really think that this has been a dark shadow that's been following the community around for 5 years that we've neglected to face. And I am not special. I'm not going to be your superhero, but I am not afraid to be the first one to stand up and say, we are doing it wrong and we need to rethink the way we're doing it. If you're willing to support the cause and you want to help financially, I do have a Teespring account. And so far the funds, I've only sold like 2 or 3 things on the account. Probably made like 12 bucks. But that money's just sitting in the account, waiting to be withdrawn. And I didn't know what I was gonna do with the funds because I don't really need it. It was really just to make the merch available if anybody wanted to wear my shirt or whatever. It's easier than me having to ship it to you and all that other stuff. Teespring handles all that. But what I wanna do from this point forward is every single cent that raises, all the revenue that comes from my Teespring account, I am going to donate, or not donate, 100% of that is going to go to the research, not to testing my collection or medical expenses for my animals. 100% of that is going to go to the research and development of new processes to increase the accuracy of nidovirus testing, understand how cross-contamination works in some cases, and anything that we can come up with that I can test in-house with the support of the professionals that I'm working with. Beyond my Teespring account, now, the Teespring account link is in the description down below if you're curious. Beyond that, I don't know how anyone, if you don't want to buy something to give money to the cause, how do we exchange information or whatever? I've had people recommend I do a GoFundMe. Honestly, GoFundMes are cringy. Ugh. I've seen so many phony, baloney GoFundMes, and they kind of died off. I haven't seen one in a year, probably. And again, it's probably because everyone's like struggling and broke. I don't want or need your money. If you feel called to help with the cause, or if you're in a good standings and you feel like you have funds available that you would want to donate to the cause, absolutely, let's work together. I appreciate all the support I can get. But no pressure. Zero. None. Please, 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 please. Don't, if you don't need to give me $1, don't give me $1. Please. If I don't do GoFundMe, then what do? I could set up a PayPal account. specifically for people to donate to. I don't have any other ideas other than that. If I've seen other people do auctions and donate the revenue to a cause or to a person. JT just went through his house burning, and a lot of people did that. Again, I don't know how any of that stuff works. That's not really my forte. If you have any ideas, comment down below, and we'll just kind of go with whatever the majority of people think. That seems to be the best bet. This has gotten kind of long-winded. These videos are there's so much stuff to talk about. It's okay. So I'm not even going to talk about that today. I'll save that for another day because this video is we're already 11 minutes. Okay, let's get to the questions. This is taking long enough. First question, these are not in any particular order. I was gonna try to order them so that they made sense, and that got really confusing, so I just said, screw it. I'm gonna read it in the order that I wrote them down. If you have any questions that aren't answered down below, I will save them and we'll talk about them later. We'll keep working through them. Again, I wanted to comment, or if you've been commenting and I reply to you, if you ask a question, I almost always will reply to you. If you just say that you're sending your positive vibes and whatever, I try to reply to everyone. It's getting overwhelming. If I put a heart on your comment, I physically read your comment, appreciated it, and I put a heart because I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I love you all. Let's get into this. Where did that snake come from? I.e., if they're asking the snake that got sick or died or had Nidovirus, tested positive, where did that snake come from? I will not share that information. I'm going to read another question, and this will kind of reiterate that. Any of the affected animals come from fill in the blank. Did they come from such and such? Did they come from this guy? Did they come from this place? I will not answer that information, and I will tell you why. It's kind of a complex problem. The reason this has been in the shadows is because we have forced it into the shadows. We've been bashing and tearing down people and making them feel guilty for the situations that they've been put in. Fortunately, I have had very few people do that to me, which is surprising. I've had a couple, but not many, and none of that bothers me. I will continue to do this until I have nothing to talk about. As long as I have information to share, you will find me here a couple times a week, every week, indefinitely. But bashing and tearing down people will not fix this. I've had other people tell me, let's see if I wrote it down. Not really. Okay. They asked why this, sorry, give me just a second. Would someone sell a sick snake intentionally? Okay, so if I tell you where I got this snake from, and you say, oh, I'm not going to buy from them now, right? Which would be smart on your part. That's assuming two things. It's assuming that the animal that died that I bought from that place didn't catch it from another animal that was already in my collection. I have no way to know at this point. First, that I've had animals that have gotten sick from multiple breeders, that have come from multiple breeders, that have all gotten sick seemingly simultaneously. So there's no way to really say who started it, who gave it to who, which direction it transferred. There's no way to trace it. There's no way to look that up or look at the animal and figure it out. So the moral of the story is, once it gets into a collection, it's hard to really say that that animal, even if you have one animal that shows up sick, that animal may not be the original source of the infection. It could be an asymptomatic animal from a completely different breeder that you never suspected that started getting animals sick around it and continued to be healthy. These animals can live a full life asymptomatic carrying the virus, getting animals around it sick, and never be affected directly by the virus. It's a bizarre and terrible thing that we need to sort out. So me saying who I got it from could be falsely accusing someone of something that they're not guilty of. I will not do that. On top of that, even if you knew who had it, let's say breeder A sold me a sick snake, and I tell you, don't go to breeder A, they sold me a sick snake. And then you say, okay, great. I'm gonna go buy the snake I want from breeder B. Because why? You're assuming he doesn't have it? There are people in the industry that claim to understand it and are saying that if you have so many snakes in your collection, you almost definitely have it unless you've already gone through the process of testing and proven that you have a clean collection. Very few breeders have taken the steps to be 100% certain that their collection is clean. So it doesn't matter if you go to breeder B or C or D, there's always still that chance that unless they've taken the steps to be certain their collection's clean, that you could still be buying a sick animal. So how do you protect yourself in that situation? You have to understand the virus, be educated about it, and you have to take the steps necessary to protect yourself and your own collection from any animals that you're bringing in to the collection. Quarantine, testing. Quarantine, testing. And even still, there's always a chance because there's false negatives, which is one of the things that I'm hoping my research can reduce the amount of and improve the quality of a negative result. Stay tuned. So basically, putting the burden on the breeder is not the right route to take. The right route to take is to assume that no one would do this intentionally, even though I know for certain that there are breeders that intentionally sell sick animals. There are breeders that know that they have sick animals in their collection and sell regardless because they either don't think that it's as big of a deal as it is, or they just choose to ignore it for the sake of money. It's terrible, but I will not take the route that has been taken before me, which is to bash and belittle, and all that does is drive those people to be more secretive and hide their shortcomings, hide their flaws, hide their viruses and sicknesses or whatever. The more we bring this to the light and treat everyone respectfully and treat everyone with understanding that this is a community problem, this is not a specific breeder problem, the more likely we are 5 years from now to have a completely different ball python community to work in. It's possible. The people that are following me right now, the thousands of people that are following me right now, could be the majority of the breeding community 5 years from now. We may not be as big as some of the big breeders, but we certainly could outnumber them. And it's not to say that we're gonna take over like ants and conquer the big guys. Again, this is just to say that if we can learn as a community, a broad stroke of the community could learn how to handle this properly, that could change the future of this industry completely. That first question took way too long. This is not going to go well. We're already at 19 minutes. Let's see if I can get a couple more in here. Let's try to get it around 24 minutes. Hang in there. And let's see what we can run through. I was unaware of a lot of this till about 4 months ago. Again, we don't talk about it. We have to talk about it, guys. We have to be transparent. We can't hide. We can't bash people when they share their experiences. We can't blame anyone. This is not my fault. I don't care who says what out there. You can run your mouth all day long. This is not my fault. I did my research. This information was not available. I busted my ass to keep these animals clean and cared for and did the best I could with the information that was available. And I still I've killed 6 animals, five animals, several more still sick. It's not my fault. And if you're out there struggling with this, it's not your fault either. And I don't expect anyone else to get up on a podium and do what I'm doing. Some people may, I hope some people will, but not everyone will. And that's just the way it is. It has become such a taboo subject that people that I deeply respect will not talk about this publicly because of their reputation. It's their business. You could be essentially blackballed and treated like you're less than, or that you have low quality animals because of what you're going through. I don't know what my future is with breeding. I don't. I truly enjoyed breeding ball pythons. You can look at my earlier videos in this channel and see the joy in my face. It's so much fun, but who knows what the future holds? At this point, the goal is to change the outlook on this virus. It's not your fault. We need to talk more about it. Where do you get your rodents from if you feed live? There's a tiny, rodents have not been proven to carry this virus actively in their body. So if I buy a live rat or a frozen rat, let's say somehow the virus got on a rodent in some rodent facility. They euthanized that animal and froze it. I brought it here, thawed it out, and then fed it to my animal. Technically, if the virus was still, let's say it got physically on the rat. Let's say they took that rat and put it in an enclosure and tried to feed it to a snake. Snake didn't eat it, so they euthanized it, froze it, sent it to my house. I thawed it out. The saliva from the snake, let's say the snake tried to strike it and got some saliva on the outside of the rat. Or let's say just the rat being in that enclosure, it picked up bodily fluids from the snake on its paws. Technically, that could carry the virus. You could freeze that animal. Freezing this virus does not kill it. It is stable. It is more stable at lower temperatures for longer periods of time. I thaw it out. I feed it to my snakes. Technically, that is the only way you could transfer this virus from feeder rodents. And that's a long shot. That's a long shot. It's very, very unlikely. It is much more likely, since this virus is so easily spread and talked about so little, it's much more likely that I bought a sick animal and brought it in here. It was asymptomatic. I quarantined it, never saw any signs of obvious distress, put it into general collection, into the collection, and it started spreading the virus around amongst its peers, and now we are where we are. That's the most likely case. The rodents having it inside of their body is basically impossible. The virus cannot survive in that host. The genetic structure of the virus is catered specifically to the whatever. I'm not a biologist. I had a biologist explain this to me recently. He used a lot of big words. The virus can't survive in a rat. It can't. If it ate something and got it in its body, the virus would die. Moving along. What symptoms are you seeing, if you don't mind me asking? It's probably going to be the last question. There's a few more. Again, this is going to take some time. This is information dense. Diarrhea. Lots of diarrhea. But diarrhea doesn't happen until like a week before the animal dies. So that's kind of a last minute thing. Some of them had respiratory infection. Some of them were anorexic and not eating. Some of them lost a ton of body weight and were very skinny. Some of them were lethargic and not being very, but not so far out of 5 animals that have died, not any one of them have died in the same way. One of them got very skinny and died. One of them looked perfectly healthy with no respiratory infection and only diarrhea. One of them looked fine, no diarrhea, just a respiratory infection. So there's not really a set combination. These are signs of what could be going on. None of these individually or by themselves mean you have nidovirus. These can be caused by a number of things. In combination, it's certainly a bad sign. And if you see it spreading throughout your collection, again, that's a bad sign. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to call it there. Thank you for sticking around. You guys are incredible. Again, thank you so much. 500 subs. How cool is that? I really never thought it would get this far. I didn't doubt myself, but it's just, it's a busy field of people that are doing really good stuff in YouTube about ball pythons. I never really thought that I would find my way in, and it's incredible. And the support has been great. You guys are awesome. I love you all so much. Stay tuned. I'm just gonna keep doing these until I have other stuff to talk about as this process continues. So stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, I'm gonna put a button right here. Click this button. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell so that you get notified when I post. I might start doing some live stream stuff because that'll be a lot easier to go back and forth rapidly with questions and kind of rapid fire giving you guys answers. Tell me again down in the comments if you think that's a cool idea. I'll try to figure out how to make that work. And if you, so again, okay, now, kind of took too long. I'm gonna put a circle here, subscribe, and I'm gonna put a video here that's talking about when we first figured out that we had nidovirus, if you missed that. So you guys are awesome. Thank you again. Y'all take it easy. If it ain't easy, don't take it. Peace.